E aí, rock and rollers, estamos aqui de volta numa quarta-feira à noite para falar sobre um dos episódios que, na real, é um dos episódios que eu tô mais curtindo fazer, que é quando a gente troca aquela ideia saudável com bandas aí que a gente descobriu no Groover. Lembrando que teremos um episódio especial sobre o Groover. Eu e o Henrique tá me enrolando porque é tanta coisa para escutar que é assustador.
Demais.
Mas e aí, Henrique, como é que você tá? Tudo bem?
E aí, galera, beleza? Como o Hernani tá falando aqui, estamos na nossa terceira edição do Rock Story, que é um episódio que a gente chama aqui algumas bandas que já estão na cena há algum tempo, ou que estão começando, né, e que entraram em contato com a gente, para contar um pouco da história deles aqui. Essa banda, como o Hernani disse, foi a primeira banda que a gente conheceu no Groover, que chamou atenção mesmo, né? Eu comecei a escutar o som deles há algumas semanas, gostei pra caralho, muito bom. Já mencionei eles aqui em outros episódios, inclusive já lancei som deles aqui também. Nós estamos aqui hoje com o Firebug, da Califórnia.
Lord, there's a mountain over me, so high sometimes I just can't see. Feet don't fail me now. Just one more step, just one more mile, and I'll be slipping, slipping to my own paradise. Oh, I'll be slipping, slipping to my
And switching to English already, how are you guys?
Good. How are you, Enrique?
I'm awesome. I'm great. I'm great.
That was perfect. That
Perfect
was
pronunciation.
perfect pronunciation. Oh my God.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
We were just practicing or explaining to her how to pronounce our names, right? And she nailed it completely. So perfect. Next challenge, earn his name, but let's leave it to the end of the
That's
episode.
a little challenging, yeah.
Yeah, that's challenging. That's challenging. So, Jules and Juliet, why don't you introduce yourselves and then already, tell a bit about how you guys met and how you guys started.
Well, I'm Juliet. Hello, everyone.
I'm Jules.
What was I going to say? Oh, thank you both for having us here, first of all.
Sure.
So, Jules and I met in Chicago, which is where we're both from. I'm from Chicago. He's from Chicago, but he actually had just moved back from the West Coast. He lived in Los Angeles for a while,
Right.
in the Los Angeles, LA area, and when he moved back to Chicago. That's when we met. I had a roommate at the time who was trying to help me out. She was kind of like my quasi manager, not like a full-fledged manager, but just she would do things for me, try to help me network and things like that. And so she introduced me to him. We had seen an ad that Jules had put in a local newspaper.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
it was just kind of totally an unexpected thing, but we had similar influences, and we were both looking to either form or join a band, and neither one of us were in a band at the same time. So we're like, well, why don't we just form one? So we started to build around that.
I'm so jealous, because actually I was telling this to a coworker earlier. I work with something completely different, and I was telling him that today I'm gonna interview a band from California. And that's gonna start at 10 p.m. It's 10 p.m. for us. Or actually, now it's actually almost 10 because we made that
Oh,
mistake,
is it?
right?
Okay.
Okay.
But I was just telling them like I have as a hobby the opportunity to talk to people that are braver than I was when I started as a musician back then, and I was not brave enough to get into that life and really try that out, you know. So I really admire. So just a quick comment, and then coming back to you anyway. You then moved to California and escaped from the cold weather again. I presume, right?
Okay. Yeah, well, that wasn't the main reason, but that was like, part of what, like, once me, and that was the first time I'd ever left Chicago. So once we arrived on the West Coast, and I got used to the weather really quickly.
Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
really became, yeah, like if it got down to 50 degrees in the winter, I started to become like one of those people who complain how cold it was.
Cool.
So, yeah, that was a nice, like, I don't know.
And
It's been a long day. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed the weather. Is what I'm trying to say. So, well, we actually left Los Angeles again too, but that was another. And then we ended up back out here again. So we lived in New Orleans for a while.
Nice,
Oh.
nice music scene there, right?
by the way, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Like
Yeah.
a ton of really talented people,
Yeah.
musicians. Like just like some people say, it's in the water. Something's in the water.
Yes.
Uh,
It's
I
the
mean-
same with Sweden, you know. If you, I
Right.
mean, we are in love with Swedish music. I think many amazing bands came from there. We actually have an episode dedicated about Sweden. But anyway, of course, America is so much bigger, and every region
Yeah,
sounds like a
sure.
different country, right? With different influences and this kind of stuff. Same as
Yeah.
Brazil, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
in that
Brazil's
sense.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. Let me ask you guys something. What made you start with music, and what other jobs did you have in the beginning of your guys' career?
Should I start first?
Go
Does
ahead.
it matter?
You're doing great.
Good job.
It wasn't something that I had conscientiously decided. It was I just always wanted to sing. I started as just singing, and when I was a little girl, I was always singing along to the music, and I had an innate or sense within my heart that this is what I want to do. I had made up my mind already when I was very, very young. I'm going to be a singer. Everyone would ask me. So anyway,
And just by the way, your voice is amazing. Congrats.
Thank
You
you.
were right.
You were right
okay?
since the beginning. You see.
well, but I didn't get into my first band. I was kind of chicken, For a little while, I was like, I didn't have the nerve or whatever. But I didn't get into my first band until I was 16 years old, which is, I guess, kind of late for some people. But I mean, I did other things when I was a kid, like singing choruses, school choruses and things like that. And then
Yeah.
I picked up the guitar and started playing that, and just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Jules?
Go ahead.
Well, I kind of my cousin, was probably like, I don't know, 15 years older than me, 10 years older than me almost, but he built guitars, and at the time I was like probably like 8, 9 years old, and I'd go into his practice room at his house. And this is out here in California when I lived out here with my mom. I'm originally from Chicago, but my mom's side of the family is from Los Angeles area. So,
Right.
but
Okay.
so anyways, I was fascinated because he built guitars from scratch, like electric guitars. I thought it was really cool. And he was really big into Black Sabbath. I'm like, wow, he'd have pictures out of the magazines of Black
Best
Sabbath
influence
stuff
ever.
and rights.
That's my favorite band. Black Sabbath
Oh,
is my
is it?
favorite band. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after a while, I just got hooked into that. Started listening to a lot of the music he kind of influenced me on, and it just kind of evolved. You know, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. You
Okay.
know, really taking it more seriously, like as a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went to college here in Santa Barbara, you know, at UC Santa Barbara. I studied music. It's all classical music department, and
Mhm.
it was definitely an experience. I had to catch up to a lot of people that already understood a lot of music theory from when they were little kids, and they kind of it was very conservative, like music department. But you know, I learned how to orchestrate, and I learned how to play piano and sight read and all that stuff. So it's helped me tremendously. Like especially working with Juliet, just we you know we take she has her influences, I have mine from different things, and we kind of combine it and you know, we've always brought in different things into our music, and like when she mentioned like New Orleans when we lived there, you know, that was a whole new experience for us too, and we kind of took a lot of the music that came off the streets, like the brass bands and different people like you know playing in different bars, like different styles, like the Dr. John influenced people and like all these different the meters and you know, so we kind of took you know subconsciously like you take things from that
Of
and
course.
And add to that we also are already, in addition to the rock influences, obviously had a lot of like soul and blues influence in there as
Yes, I
well.
can tell.
she
I
did.
can tell.
True. No, true.
I,
We,
I,
we we
You
can
know,
actually hear that.
I was actually gonna ask about your influences because listening to your albums. By the way, amazing single, the latest one, "Run." I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard that, but already. But I had the Joe Cocker vibe when I was listening to that.
Oh, that's cool.
oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Compliment. Yeah, thank you. Like wow, like
Yeah.
what a great artist, you know.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
amazing. He's amazing, and I really didn't feel that thing like when you listen to something and you feel like, oh, this is such a copy of that song, you know. It's like it's a complete different thing. I actually listened to that song a while ago when you actually reached us out on
Okay,
Groover.
before you continue, let me tell you something about Groover because when we entered, Henry said, "Dude, we have this new app. You know, bands are gonna send us songs, and you guys were one of the first." And I
Yes.
remember,
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
and I remember he told me, "Holy fuck, you should listen to these guys. You're like
Yeah,
Exactly.
wow.
you should."
Exactly.
Yeah, he was like, "I am freaking impressed with what I'm listening right now," and I was at work. So
Yeah.
I stopped everything I was doing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give that a chance. And then we were like, is that what was gonna is this what we're gonna have in this app? And then you guys were the best entrance
Yes.
to this
Yes.
Groover world for us. And now
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
we are addicted.
You it's
Thank you.
not
That's
like
really
it's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's another really nice thing to say. We're glad that
Well, that's kind of where things are
worked
going.
out that way.
You never know what you're gonna find.
yes,
That's
and
it.
that's the thing.
There's a lot
We
of
s-
talent out there. There's a lot of people out there, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're like, wow, you know, this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you know it was exactly like that. Like I got a few feedbacks already, and then I replied, and there were some nice songs and nice things, but you guys were the first that came, and I was like, I think this is the first. It's worth inviting for an
Oh, that's
episode.
great. Thank
Okay.
you.
So
know,
and that's
okay.
actually what's happening. Yeah.
I, you know, I just want to add that, like, when we create or we write, like, it's not we never set out to oh, we're gonna write a song that sounds like this or be like that.
Yes, I know.
Just that it's not in our conscious frame of being. It's just like maybe things come through in our subconscious because
Yeah.
we've been influenced by so many people and artists in our lives, so.
No,
So-
but
Okay,
but I was just telling that I didn't get the feeling that like okay this is
Yeah.
obviously Joe Cocker. It was like I was listening and I heard this song so many times, and
Yeah,
today I
that's
was
fine.
like I think that's this it's really that vibe, and then I connected. I wanted to ask you guys if you ever heard that before. You said yes, so I'm not crazy. Okay.
We
Yeah,
have.
it-
You know what? What's really weird? Like, I didn't even think about it at all. Obviously, when we were actually recording it, but like after we had recorded, like when you're in the studio and you're recording and then you're mixing stuff, you're listening to like your songs like constantly all the time, and
Yeah.
you're nitpicking, trying to make things right or whatever. Like, oh, this is working, that's not working, blah blah blah. For me personally, after that process, I kind of don't want to listen to our music. Like,
For
I
real?
want to listen to our own music. I said it outside of performing it, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the recording for a long
I
while.
see. Yeah.
And then when I listened to it, I was like, that kind of had a little Joe Cocker kind of vibe.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh, baby, how you like? All I need is my brother. I say I'm gonna get high. Oh,
Yeah.
After the
You
fact,
see?
I was like, how come I didn't even hear it when we were in the
Yes.
process?
But that's
Yeah.
great, that's great. The first episode we recorded was about new bands that sound like the old bands. But we were actually mentioned a few examples. Like, I think the most famous one nowadays is Greta Van Fleet, being so similar to Led Zeppelin and that kind of stuff. And then we started to raise a few bands, and it's always like someone with a really strong influence of Black Sabbath or a really
There's a
strong
lot of
influence
that.
of Led Zeppelin, and it's either jumping one between the other, and we were actually screaming out saying like, why don't we have someone why don't we have someone who really sounds like Joe Cocker, or someone who really sounds like Deep Purple, or someone who really sounds like
Right.
anything else other than just Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath, because
Right.
there's so many old things out there,
Right,
that
that's true. Although
yeah.
those are two really, really great bands.
yeah, I know,
that's it.
yes, but that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great.
it's a lot.
It's great that you guys made me
Hopefully,
feel like
like-
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, like we're a rock band, That's
Yes.
our roots. I mean, everything else is just sprinkled over the top. Like we're just, I don't know. I take a lot of my guitar playing, especially like I feed off a lot of lot of Led Zeppelin stuff, like
Yes.
like cagey kind of real organic, like guitar tone, with the old Marshall Plexi stacks and just keeping it very organic. I guess that's the best way to.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you something. The songs that I like the most are the ones that are more into the folk vibe than anything else. You know.
Sure.
okay.
I think there's a correct me if I'm wrong, but Fool Like Me.
Alone I've searched for years on end in search of a sky so blue, like a nomad child wandering through the wild in search of love and truth. I'll barter with time with an openness of mind in search of freedom and kind, of luck and chance, fate and romance. I'll be with you in time. Where can you be? I'm homebound and free, in search of all for a fool like me.
It's sort of a folk vibe, right? With an acoustic guitar in the beginning or something like that. Or is it further from June? I don't recall
No,
now.
you think a fool like me with the mandolin.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a mandolin. It's a mandolin. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
really
there's-
love that song. It's an awesome song.
I came up with the idea for that song. You just made me remember hiking in Griffith Park in Los Angeles.
Right.
Like a lot of trails, and I like to hike, whatever we both do. But like I was hiking one time with our dog, and this melody just came to my head, and like it was like I don't know, it just was during the whole hike. It's just like I just had this melody, and oh my god, I have to go home and work. We have to go home and work on that. I started going home and I went home and worked on it anyway. I don't know, it just made me remember that. It
Right.
was just one of those things that kind of came out of the blue, out of nowhere.
Nice.
Mhm.
And now, since I actually started talking about the album, I mean, Wandering Soul is
Traveling down this road, all my shoes are worn, but not my soul. Time moves on, but I don't worry, I just keep on. 'Cause I'm a wandering soul. I'm a wandering soul.
Soul is a great job. I mean, from 2018, right?
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, it's a great piece of work. I think the opening track, Follower, is amazing. Sinner is amazing. I think Sinner, if I check Spotify here, is even...
That's probably my favorite one.
And I
there
think
you
it's
go.
the most listened song, or the one with the most plays in Spotify. We can check that, and it's actually really great. But I wanted to ask, am I reading this correct? That you had 10 years between the first album and this one?
Yeah, almost.
Well, we had a couple we had a couple EPs that we didn't really release.
We released it. Yeah, we released a couple singles in between that time.
And EPs.
Yeah, we were going through it took Wandering Soul was recorded in 2 different studios. So when we left LA, we worked actually up here where we live at Rancho de la Luna recording studio with Chris Goss.
With Chris Goss.
That's what Goss brought us up here initially before we lived where we live now. And
Right.
then
Mhm.
Los Angeles, like a lot of bands come and go. We were mismanaged.
Oh wait,
and-
I'm sorry. You were referring to
Oh.
Season. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, Season for Change.
I meant
That-
Season for Change, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. God, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I get so yeah, almost 10 years, like 8, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
But in between there, we when we moved to after Seasons came out, we took the band to England, and we played
Right.
Sonic Youth Festival. With we were on the same bill as Iron Maiden and Alice in Chains and.
That's awesome,
Iggy on
man.
the Stooges, and so that was a big wake up call for us, and
Yeah.
we kind of built a little mini tour around it
That's
throughout the
awesome.
country. But
Yeah.
Nice.
When we came back to the States,
We got a real taste of like rock stardom for a minute.
a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
It was-
amazing.
Yeah.
He's happy. No.
But you guys are rock stars, right?
Yes, you
Come
guys
on.
are rock star. You are living the rock life. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, we're rock and rollers. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Rock
There-
and rollers, exactly. I named the podcast like that because I always wanted to be one. So at
There
least
you
I
go.
have the opportunity to talk to a few of you.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about. You guys said you recorded. Is it the last album in Rancho de la Luna?
No, the
No,
single,
so-
right?
Oh, the single.
So on Wandering Soul, Follower, let me see, Follower,
Fool like me. No, we didn't record that there. That's right. You're
No.
right. My bad.
Run didn't make it on there, but that was later. I'm trying to think what other songs are on there from the sessions we did. Oh,
All
For
right.
the Love, and
Yeah, we did that.
there's a
there.
few. There's like 4 of the songs were recorded with Gossip here. Strange
Mhm.
Days, that was recorded up here. So that
Nice.
was- we did that up here, and then when we moved to New Orleans, the other songs like Sinner and like
Mhm.
Further from June and Fool Like Me, those songs were recorded at a studio in the country. Which
Okay.
If you look it up, that's it's a lot of history there. Like
Yes.
Mhm.
Kansas, like
Stevie
Dust
Wonder.
in the Wind. And
Nice.
Stevie Wonder, and like,
Nice.
it's a recording studio like out in the middle of the woods, like just
Nice.
north of New Orleans. So it's really
Yeah.
they don't really build studios like that anymore, but like
No.
it's one of the last like
It's really,
Mhm.
yeah.
old school studios. So
Mhm.
well, Wandering Soul is a mesh of kind of like 2 completely different recording studios,
Yeah.
and for the most part it's consistent, I think, but we try to make it as seamless as we could,
Mhm.
but when you mix and do different things at different studios and stuff, it's just it just depends. I think overall it turned out really well.
No. I was asking you about Rancho de la Luna because pay attention how the world is a small place. Because I'm from a city in the center of Brazil. We are next to the capital, which is Brasilia,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So my city is really small. We have like 1 million inhabitants, more or less. All right.
So it's not
So-
that small.
Yeah, it's not that
but
small,
of
but
course.
It's small, really.
Yeah.
But in
Uh,
Brazil, it's not the biggest. It's
Yes.
by far, you know.
Yeah. So we have this band which is really big in my city. And maybe I don't know if I can say like in the underground movement in Brazil,
Yeah.
in
Right.
in the underground scene. So they are called Hellbenders.
Lá vem mais uma banda que hoje canto que eu não quero parar pra pensar, é um saco, terceirizei o meu cérebro. Eu preferia quando não entendi o que gritava, cantar em português deixou a música tão chata.
Tudo dirá que a música deverá ser guiada apenas pelo ritmo, sem ideia, sem discurso, sem ideologia, sem senso crítico.
So their biggest dream was to record in Rancho de la Luna.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yes, and they did it. They did it. So they did like this. They did like this funding kind of thing.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah, like a crowdfunding kind of thing. And then they got the money. They went to California. They recorded their second album there with the guy with the big beard. What's his name?
Bingo.
No, the beard. Dave.
Dave Catching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and they said that when they were recording the album,
Yeah.
Dave Grohl passed by like just to say hi.
Oh, that's
Because
cool.
and they got crazy, and we are from a small city,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
every time they
I
tell
know,
this
that's a
story,
big deal.
dude, that was like the biggest deal of their lives.
When we were mixing down our stuff with Goss, this is a while ago before we moved to New Orleans. So now we're 10 years ago, almost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And when we were mixing in the studio, Josh Homme stopped by.
Oh,
And he came
damn.
by and he was listening to songs, and he called the Arctic Monkeys. Monkeys. He had one of the guys from the Arctic Monkeys on. And I can't remember what song we were mixing. I think it might have been maybe Fool Like Me. It could have been
Damn.
one of those songs.
No, it wasn't Fool Like Me. You recorded that.
It might have been Run. Actually, I think it was Run.
No, there you go. Which is the single, right?
And he put his cell phone to the monitors.
Nice.
You know, he goes, he's like talking to the guy, like, listen to this, you know. So he's
that's
excited
awesome.
about it. I mean, we wouldn't
Nice.
want what happened with us at that time, like, you know, but I was kind of getting to the point, like, after the Sonosphere thing and the whole English tour thing, when we got back, we were mismanaged, and we kind of like, we had to make a change, you know, like we just. When you're mismanaged in this business, a lot of bands know about this kind of stuff. Like, it sets you back a lot. I mean, you have to, you know, if you like with her and I, we love what we do so much. You know, we're like, we have to try to make this work. You know, we can't give up. You know, we need to be in a different environment. We need to kind of get away from this because we've been here for a little while.
Well, we also need to find cheaper housing. Let's be honest. It's true. Yeah, I mean, you know, that was the biggest driver. Like all that we did that ultimately led to us even thinking about moving in the first place because we didn't want to leave Los Angeles.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
we had our friends and like
lived there for a while. You may, you know, and LA is that. Well, it depends on who you talk to, but a lot of people probably would agree who've lived there. It's not the easiest place to like settle into, and like you meet a lot of people like on the surface, and that's not to say that it's because people aren't friendly or anything. It's just because there's a lot of people, and there's a car culture, and like, you know, it's different than like being in Chicago or whatever. You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
a lot of bands and people coming and going all the time. So it takes a while to settle in and like make a few like really like, you know, good friends that you know that you want to hang out with all the time and that kind of thing. You know, the things that are important in life outside of like just trying to have a career. So we had finally attained all that, but then we were like, oh well, you know, we have to leave. It is
what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
It is what it is. Yeah.
You have to. You go with, you know, you try to go with your instinct. If things aren't working out, you know, you try to make a life, but you know, we feel like we have a lot to offer. We could reach a bigger audience, and we weren't really enough. Like after Sonosphere, we felt like this is our chance. Like we need to get on this. We need to capitalize on this. And the people who were working around us, they just didn't. You know, and we didn't have the connections. We didn't have we didn't know what to do. You know, so we wound up in New Orleans, and you know. And New Orleans is an interesting place. You know, it's not easy there either. It's tough. You know, it's a there's a hustle in New Orleans with musicians. Everybody's hustling there, and that's how it is. There's a lot of bars and a lot of cover bands and a lot of like jazz stuff, and that's great. Rock is not a big thing there, so we're more of a rock band. And you know, so we're kind of sort of against the grain. They have a punk scene. You know, for you know,
but we didn't really fit into that, really.
But we're not a punk band, really. So.
Right.
We had a little blues band for a little while there.
We were doing some blues. We had a residency.
It's a side thing, yeah.
We changed our name. We were calling ourselves LA Blues Company. Yeah. Like Louisiana Blues Company.
Which is also a cool name, by the way.
It is kind of cool, yeah. So kind of the same thing with like with New Orleans, like I'll be real quick here, but you know, we were approached by somebody who like represents a few bigger artists out of New Orleans, and you know, he had a reputation like he'll talk to people, but he never comes through, you know. And we were like, oh, you know, maybe we'll be able to open up. We got
close to something happening, but
we started to play more blues because he managed like some bigger blues acts out of there a little bit, and from other places around there, so. We're kind of like, well, let's shift our style a little bit and play blues. We could do it, and like, you know, then we could bring Firebug into that mold.
But ultimately, we're still a rock band.
Yeah. Anyways,
can't really take it anonymous.
This
But go
I,
ahead.
I was just gonna say this genre, this music genre discussion and situation is really tough, right? Because it really depends on taste, I think. Because I mean, there is people for every taste. They're like you have the audience for blues, the audience for jazz, the audience for
Yeah.
rock, and
Yeah.
now I think and there's an audience for people who actually like a mix of all those things, right? And
That's true.
so
Yeah.
you have to choose maybe your audience. Like if you
True.
decide to be a bit more ambitious and try to do something different, like to mix stuff, you might attract some kind of people, but then lose other type of people,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
the way it
it's
goes, though,
always
right?
hard. It's always hard.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Like the other, not really off topic, but I think this is related and applicable what we're talking about. But yesterday we went to this area not too far from here called Pioneer Town, just because they have wide dirt roads and it's easier to walk our dog. We
Uh-huh.
just went for a walk over there. But there was a radio playing a Jackson Brown song, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, I hadn't heard it in like a really long time.
Doctor, my
Mm.
eye.
Yeah, and I was just
Mhm.
thinking to myself, like, and I was saying to Jules, I'm like, that is a really, really well written song, and like, it depends. Maybe some people are like, oh, that sucks or whatever, but I think that it's a really well written song, and millions of other people obviously did too, because they're still being played on the radio, like,
Yeah.
30, 40 years after its inception.
Longer than that.
The reason why I brought it up is because speaking of genres and and appealing to different people, sometimes I think I don't know if we have that talent or not, but like some people just have this ability to just draw in people's ears. That even though normally certain people might not listen to a certain type of music, but they might listen to that song because it was just done so well. You know, what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a lot of my rock friends that I grew up with would never listen to that kind of music, but would listen to that.
It has
Yeah.
it brings a feeling, right? It's just like it's easy
Yeah.
to connect.
And a sincerity or something.
Yes.
Not
That-
always-
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that right now. If it's true, if we can feel the truth in what you're playing, what you're singing, I think it's natural that it's gonna get into somebody's ears and people are gonna go like,
Translates to
"Wow."
people, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, I would like to ask you guys, what about the pandemic? How did you go through that? And I see that you guys are now coming back for concerts, right? I saw you on your Instagram. You announced a jam. I don't know if that happened this weekend or if it's still gonna happen. So tell about your situation so far and how you are actually now starting to come out from this crazy times.
Well, I think when it first hit, it's funny because we played a New Year's Eve show, like January 1st, like 2020, and then
Wow.
that's when little time later, New York and New Jersey and all these people are getting sick and dying and stuff, and it was just crazy. And then we had the draconian lockdown stuff here, so it's funny, we started to do little live stream stuff,
Yeah.
we tried to dive into that a little bit. I think that's what you're asking, right?
We just isolated
we were invited to come down. There's this place called Bombay Beach, which is
Right.
it's on the Salton Sea here. You know the Salton Sea in California?
Yeah,
we
I haven't been to that coast. I've been to US, but I've just been to Florida and New York.
It's south of here. It's still like about 2 hours east of the coast.
Right.
It's in the low desert. Like it's actually below sea level, and there's they call the Salton Sea there. It has a long history, and hopefully I don't botch the history on it too much, but going back thousands of years, where intermittently it would be a lake, and then it would dry up, and then it would be a lake again.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
In the early 20th century, there was I hope I'm saying this correctly because I'd have to check to make sure, but there was a dam built on the Colorado River, correct?
Yeah,
Didn't it?
Well, the dam burst and it
That's
was
right.
all the water just poured into where it was. It was already an ancient lake, but it just filled up, and it's been there ever since. It's called something. But anyways,
It used to be. Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's
It
okay.
used to be a resort area, like in the 20s or 30s, maybe even 40s, 50s, up
Yeah.
until the 50s, I think.
Right.
And then it became deserted because as the water started evaporating, because it wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
It was kind of brackish, I guess. There was like a lot of salt in the water.
It
And
just
Uh-huh.
smells like sulfur over there.
It started
Uh-huh.
to kind of
Yeah,
smell.
yeah.
You know?
So no more resorts. But
But people live there now. It's kind of like a lot
it's
of
kind
artists
of
there.
like
Yeah.
it is like one of these like kind of an eclectic arty place. There's a lot of celebrities. Like go down to Bombay Beach. They have like this. They have an opera house and like all this stuff.
Wow.
It's a weird place. It's basically like it's basically a trailer park, really. And it's abandoned trailers and there's just garbage everywhere. But then they have a bar there called the Ski Inn, and like we played there. But during COVID, when it first hit, we were invited. There's this it's part of Burning Man, I guess. There's this guy who has a radio show called Shouting Fire, and a friend of ours, like he's a Burning Man person. He like builds stuff for like every year when they have Burning Man. He's like,
I think he
does all
moved
kinds
to
of
the
stuff.
Netherlands.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
but anyway.
DJ, yeah.
Yeah.
But they invited us, so we drove down there during the lockdown, right? So there was nobody around. Like there was nobody on the.
We did a streaming.
There was nobody on the freeway. It was so
Right.
weird
Yeah.
to drive like in
Yeah.
California with like 30 million people down here,
Yeah, it
and
was,
like
it was
Yeah.
great.
like there's nobody like around, and
It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
We did that. That was our first thing we did during the pandemic. That was like our first thing to get
It
out
was
of
kind.
isolation.
It was kind of weird though because everybody. It like the studio they had was like sort of half in, half outside, and we were outside, and everybody's like trying really.
There was no audience.
No
Yeah.
audience. Everybody's trying
Yeah.
like to, obviously stay like really far away from one another. It was just because wearing masks and all that stuff, and like just we all doing what we had to do, whatever. But it's just bizarre. Like when we entered, it just felt like, well, here we are entering into this bizarre new world. How long is this going to be like this? Like, we had a few other outdoor shows during the pandemic. They're like private party type things.
Yeah, we played some private parties. We played like 4th of July. and,
Just
like,
a few though.
Nice.
Like 3 or maybe 4 tops, because like other than that, like, and like I said, they were all outdoors. Strange time for
Because
sure.
we have, everything's like in flux right now. They don't, nobody really knows what's happening with shows. I mean, they're starting to open up stuff,
Yeah.
but then they shut it down, and then the people are postponing. Like up
Yeah.
here, like there's bigger artists that are playing. Like Pappy and Harriet's is a venue where we live.
Right.
And,
Right.
and it's famous.
So it's still hard. It's still not 100% yet.
No,
still-
No.
That's why we went over to Arizona like this summer, because the rules are different there a little bit.
Right.
Like
right.
there's people that still going to bars and stuff, and we just, I mean, as far as like, I don't know, it's just a different attitude. Like it's different.
Without commenting on anything, without
I don't want to get too specific
without commenting
about
on
it.
anything specific, yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
almost like there's no pandemic
subject.
there. Like so
Yeah.
we played like we recently played.
Well, there is. It's everywhere. It's
Yeah,
obvious. But
Yeah.
at some point, I mean, like we said, who knows what's going to happen? Like they have they have like lockdowns, and then they lift them, and then they're like, okay, let's have them again, and like so like for the most of the time we basically just isolated in our
Right.
house. And
Yeah.
the only time we ever really got out for like a year and a half was just like going on a hike or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we basically,
that's it.
but we wrote a new album. and
Yes,
we
that's what I
recorded-
wanted to ask you guys.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
run,
I know.
if
Yeah, I wanted
run
to
is
do
sort of like a introduction to something else that is coming bigger, or
We have about 3/4 of an album right now together.
Cool.
It's like recorded and mastered, 7 songs. We've written quite a few new songs during COVID, and we want to record a few of those as well because we feel that they're really strong. So we're hoping to add a few more on there
nice.
in the near future. Some of the stuff, I mean, it's just Yeah, I can't explain it. We feel like we've grown like a lot in the last year and a half. A lot of people
Yeah.
probably. I mean, what else are you gonna do when you're in your house all the time? I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to work on your craft, right? No,
Yes.
Yeah.
But those shows recently that we've played ever since the pandemic, we've played as a duo.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, like, you
Oh.
know, but we have a band in LA that we have some new songs here that we're talking with the record label right now in
Mm-hmm.
France,
Nice.
actually, and they're
Mhm.
kind of I guess they're kind of a metal label, hard rock, and they do everything really, but I think they start out like pretty much as a metal label, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also do promotion. They have their own PR firm and stuff, and they're in the label. So,
Cool.
you know, we're seeing where that goes. We have a single that we're going to release from the new stuff that we've done that we already recorded with the same people in LA, and we're right now we're trying to, because right now we have an EP pretty much, so
Right.
we need to lay down like, you know, 3 or
Yeah.
4 more songs.
And
yeah.
there are some new elements that we've added to some of the newer songs that we want to record still. Like I've been I started playing keyboard. You know,
Right.
Nice.
I kind of it's something that I was dipping my toes in like when we lived in New Orleans, but I never
Uh-huh.
really was I didn't spend enough time on it. I was just working on my guitar playing, you know, to try to get that up to speed with my singing or whatever. But in the last couple of years here, I've been practicing a lot, and I've been writing a lot on keyboard, and that's starting to get, you know, as with anything, you keep doing it, you start to feel like you get a little bit better as it goes along, and as a result, we've added some different colors to our songs. Like Jules mentioned, we're experimenting a lot because it's been slow during COVID, obviously, but every once in a while, if we get an outdoor show somewhere, uh, you know, we've been playing as a duo, and to make that a little bit more interesting, I've been using a looper, a guitar looper, and
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll get that going, and then like he's playing guitar, and then sometimes I'll switch over to the keyboard.
Nice.
Mhm.
And you know, there's a piano sound, and then there's a B3 sound, and so there's
Nice.
Those are great. Those are great for
play
practicing.
acoustic
Yeah.
guitar for
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
play acoustic like the whole time, like
Mhm.
Right.
so I don't loop or anything. Like she'll do that stuff, so we don't have too many different things like kind of
Yes.
flying over each other. Like we try to keep it as organic as we can. As
Yeah.
a duo. But we want to make it more interesting too, not just, you know, just saying your 2-piece whatever. Like
Mhm.
you know, that's why, you know, she's talking about the keyboard stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but we do have some, you know, we feel like this new material that's coming out here, this new song, we have this new single called No Return. We're really excited about it. If you really like Run, you're gonna
Yeah, you'll like that
totally
one.
dig this one.
Yeah.
This
Cool.
one's like
Nice.
it still has that, I don't know, I don't want to give away too much,
It's
but like
different from Run.
Does
Yeah,
does it have a
it's all-
date? Do you have a release date
we're
already?
gonna
Or?
figure out if we sign with this label, we're gonna see what
Right.
happens, but it'll probably be like, you know, 2 months out.
Nice.
know?
Mhm.
We're working with a friend of ours. We're gonna have a music video done for it, and the
Nice.
single, and yeah, and basically a label, they kind of want releasing a record's better than releasing an EP when it comes to like
Yeah.
promotion,
Yeah.
because of reviews and all that kind of stuff. So we
Mhm.
want, you know, we need to add a few more. So like that's right now, her and I are trying to get our guys together in LA so we could, because of COVID and everything else, you know, it's too hard. We're a couple hours away from each other too, but we
Yeah.
have to, you know, you have to go to rehearsal space and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you know, there's this place called Bedrock in Echo Park, which is a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and that's where everybody rehearses. Like you know, like in Dave Ketching, the guy in Rancho de Luna, like Eagles of Death Metal. Death metal, like
Yeah.
Yes.
they have their own like rehearsal space there, and like there's
Nice.
a bunch of other bands. So, you know, we have to get back in there, rehearse, and then we're working with this guy named Charlie Stavish, who owns a studio up here called Clock Tower. It's basically out of his house, so he converted his garage into a recording
Really
studio.
nice studio.
He's a
Nice.
great engineer, and
Yeah.
Cool.
and I mean, we were really lucky to find him, and he's a really cool. He's worked with a lot of different people, but he's very low key, very cool guy, and works really hard. And
He started his career in Electric Ladyland Studios.
yeah, he worked with a
Nice.
bunch of people there, like even
Pretty
Lady
cool, huh?
Gaga and like
That's
like,
nice.
and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's a fantastic engineer. He really, I mean, even coming out of Rancho. I mean, Rancho has its own thing. It's totally cool, and that's a great place. It's not like you're recording in a recording studio, Rancho de Luna.
Right.
That's like a house. It's like a little
Yes.
house, and it's a whole different vibe. It's really cool though. You're completely surrounded by like instruments, like in Rancho, like keeps your focus. Like,
Yeah.
They have all kinds of different types of keyboards and basses and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so we're gonna finish this record with Charlie, and even if we don't sign, whatever happens with this, we're still gonna release No Return and the video with it, and we're still gonna get this record ready, and then we'll put it. It'll be next
Just
year.
to keep our listeners informed, the electric lady studio that Julia is talking about, just some small names recorded there, right? Like
Oh, that was Jimi Hendrix's studio.
yeah, that's it. So it was Jimi Hendrix. So AC/DC recorder there, Led Zeppelin, John Lennon, The Clash, and then
Yeah.
the Rolling Stones. Just some small names. They're like small
yeah,
bands, right?
Was it great? They're all great. So, oh my God.
That's it. So it's
Jimi
something.
Hendrix.
It's something in the water of that studio then.
Yeah, right? No kidding.
Yeah.
My God, Jimi Hendrix was like such a big influence on me. Going back to my childhood, I remember how I really started getting into not just wanting to be a singer, but like getting into like the musical aspects of of music, like listening to instruments and the tone of a guitar and like a production. The first time I heard Jimi Hendrix, I was like 8 years old. It was "Are You Experienced?" And it was "Hey Joe" was the first song.
Yeah.
I was at my aunt's house, and my mom was visiting, and my cousins weren't around. There was no one around, and I was bored. So my older cousin had like a record collection, and I put on, I was looking through them, and I put on the Hendrix record, and I remember the first time I heard "Hey Joe," I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yes.
Yeah, it's
There was something about the warmth of the recording and the tone of his guitar. I was just like,
It's perfect. It's perfect.
it's
Yeah.
organic, right?
Yeah.
It's something that just comes,
It's perfect.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Never get tired of it.
That's it.
Yes.
That's because it's real.
Yeah.
When all the elements are working together. I mean,
Yeah.
especially back in those days when they had studios, even though they didn't have as much gear or plugins and all that stuff, but they had just enough to where they counted more on the room and people that were just basically physics engineers and stuff were
Yes.
recording engineers. I mean, you had Eddie Kramers and all them.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix. I mean, that was a total experiment, really.
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff they did, obviously George Martin, Beatles, and all that stuff. I mean, you go back to Revolver and all those records.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I mean, they still hold the water. I mean,
After
it's
all
just
this
like
time,
you
yeah.
listen. It's like, oh my God, look how much they got out of what they had, and I mean, obviously, when you have you have this talent that's just overflowing, with the Beatles, especially vocally, with the harmonies and all that stuff, and the writing, I mean,
Yeah.
endless possibilities, So it's and that's kind of what they do at Rancho, I think,
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
they kind of dial in that thing over there a little bit. They have their own sound over there, which is, it's
Definitely.
kind of cool. A lot of people have gone through there, like PJ Harvey and Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top, and Mark
Another
Lanigan.
great
Yes.
band,
Is it gold in Cabo? I've been there in a nest of snakes. I've been there as a blackout artist. Everyone trying to
Love Mark
Yeah.
Lanigan. I always
That's
love
why
A lot of
Mark
people-
Lanigan actually is one. We have an albums club, you know, just like a book club, but it's about albums.
Okay.
I think
Yes,
the
just to be
name.
clear,
I
just to
think
be
I
clear,
think that the
okay?
name speaks for itself, right?
Just to be clear. But basically, we have a WhatsApp group, and then our listeners get in there. Each listener recommends an album a week, and everybody needs to listen and give a note. Okay,
Oh,
so
cool.
we evaluate that, and later on we record an episode, which is the albums club drop, about each of the albums, right? And Mark Lanigan is actually, I think, the best voted album so far.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love his voice.
Our
Oh my
listeners
God.
are great fans of them, and you know I'm a great fan of Kyle's, and I
Oh,
like Queens
sure.
of the Stone Age, but Kyle's
Yeah.
for me is
Yeah.
one of the best bands ever. So I was really thrilled when I realized that, you know, about Chris Goss with you guys and this kind of stuff, and it was
Sure.
like, okay, that helps explain
Yeah.
how
Well,
this
me,
is,
that-
that
go
that
ahead.
level of quality that I listened with these guys, you know.
No, that's cool.
I just remembered I wanted to mention earlier,
Holy-
and I kind of forgot. Speaking of Chris Goss, I mean, part of the reason why Run is us. Obviously, we wrote it, but like he produced it, so his influence is in there too.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
So he's part of like that.
Great.
sound there. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
that's yeah, he kind of that's why we live up here because he's the one who brought us up here
It makes a difference.
from LA.
It makes a
He
difference.
came out to a show of ours and we played the Viper Room
Yeah.
Nice.
in Hollywood and Chris was there and he's like, I want to work with you guys. you
That's
know?
awesome.
So he brought that and from there like he brought us up here and that's kind of how that all happened and.
That's
We're working
great.
something different right now up here, but like we work with Chris. I mean, we just ran into him like a month ago, like
Yeah.
outside like this market over here and stuff, and we still talk all the time and
That's
and,
great.
um,
But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, you guys are trying, right? So you are, and it's nice to have all these connections because you make relationships with these people who are amazing in the industry, right?
well, yeah,
And you can always refer to someone when you want to try something different. Like, okay, I think what I want to do now is closer to what this guy can help with, but
Yeah.
now the next job I wanted to explore other things, and I think this guy is the best fit. So it's great that you are in a location in which it's easy to find many references depending on what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, we're lucky, yeah, because
Yes.
because we don't live in an urban area. Like this
Yeah.
is a very unique place. You know what I mean? There are a few other places in America, which is obviously a huge country, but like it's not very common. You know what I mean? Usually you have to go to LA or you have to go to New York or you have to go to Austin if you want to go to record or Nashville. Duh.
Right.
Of course, but to network and obviously those places will always be good places to like if you want to find resources and like a couple of people and things like that. But yeah, to live here, it's like we have per capita like a ton of like artists and recording studios. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
I wish I said you're saying I wish I was lucky to be there or to go there and visit you guys and maybe bring my podcast to every artist. So like, okay, who is interested in talking to us to a couple of guys who think they know something, right?
Yeah.
But
What do you mean?
You
Of
guys
course.
know plenty.
Don't be
You're doing
silly.
fine.
But anyway, guys, we are approaching now the end of our recording, and I would just
Awesome.
like to really thank you for the chat. It's been an amazing conversation. I hope our listeners will enjoy as much as I did when I heard you guys and I listened to your job. And I didn't do that just because I had to record the episode because we have to do our homework, of course.
Yeah.
But I really listened to you guys many times. So congrats. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the op-
Just
for
just
bringing-
for you to have an idea how good the conversation was, we were planning like 30 minutes, and then I
Yeah.
just wrote Henry, just let it flow because
Just
the
let it go,
conversation
let
is
it go.
awesome,
Yeah,
you know.
let
Then
it
just
go.
just let it go. Yeah.
Just let it
You
go.
weren't secretly saying, "Oh, how do we get rid of him?"
No. We were writing the completely opposite. We're like,
Which is like,
dude,
I'm
it's
not gonna
flowing.
cut it.
Let's go.
I'm not gonna
Juliet
cut the
talks too
conversation.
much.
But it's
No,
all that's
we
good.
were just like, I'm not gonna finish. Sorry, I'm gonna make another question. I'm sorry. So that's it.
We've
So-
had fun. We had a
Yeah,
it's
it's
been
great.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a nice
As soon as the new song is out, you can let us know, and then
Oh yeah, you're gonna be one of the first ones.
Yeah.
nice.
Let us know if you're ever in the area.
Oh,
Okay, yes.
there you go. Next
it
year,
had-
I'm going to America, and then I'm gonna call you guys and say, hey,
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
have a
we'll
beer
show
or
you around.
something.
We'll
Yeah.
show you around
We'd love
our
to.
desert
We'd love
and
to.
mountains.
And
We have mountain towns
and I'm
everywhere.
moving to
Nice.
Europe soon.
Yeah,
within
sure. Come on
within 2 months, I'm moving to Europe. I'm
Are
going
you?
to yes, I'm going to live in
you're-
Portugal.
okay.
Where?
In Portugal.
Oh wow.
Yes, I'm being
Cool.
transferred through work to work there.
Nice.
But I lived there before, but I'm
Okay.
I'm very glad to return there, and I'm also meeting a lot of bands from the European region,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
and I have plans to make the podcast work there somehow. And of course, I will mention you guys to whoever I know ever.
Thank you.
But
All
guys, send one last message to our Brazilian listeners, and then I think we can close the episode.
Good message. Thanks for checking us out. Check out our band. We're on all our socials are at Firebug Music, and our website firebugmusic.com. And we have a new single coming, No Return, in a couple months this fall. So look for that. Follow us on Instagram and all that stuff. And we're always updating our stuff, and news is continuing to flow with us. We have some new stuff coming, so keep us posted too. And we'd
Good.
love to meet new fans and all that kind of stuff as well. So
Great
Hey,
stuff.
thank you for listening, and thank you, Enrique, and thank you, Ernie. We
Yes.
appreciate you
Thanks,
guys having
Enrique.
us.
That's cool.
Thank
That's
you,
cool.
guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
thank you.
Então, muito obrigado você também que chegou aqui até o final, que escutou a gente. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Sigam Firebug Music no Instagram, sigam rock.nrollers também. E entra lá no nosso grupo do WhatsApp para comentar, falar o que você achou também. A gente mencionou o Clube do Álbum, se você também quiser participar, entra lá e manda sua dica que um dia vai virar episódio também. Além disso, se você é um músico como o Firebug ou tá só começando, você vê que os caras estão na estrada já há um certo tempo, mas até eles estão usando o groover.com. Então, se você também quer mandar o seu som pra gente e entrar, conhecer várias pessoas lá que estão na indústria da música também, entra lá e manda o seu feedback pra gente, que você pode vir aqui falar com a gente um dia assim também. É isso, valeu galera, falou e até a próxima.